Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
We're back.
Not you.
It is your pals, Mallory and Justine, here with another episode of the Tortured Poets
Sorry
podcast.
if you can hear my dog aggressively breathing.
I don't, but
He's a pit bulldog, so he's like,
I was doing a podcast interview with my friend last week, and my dog was like snoring on my lap, and she fully heard it. She's just like, "Is there something going on in the background? Is someone snoring?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that's my puppy. He is
hold
so
on.
loud." That's okay. That's okay. Gotta love the dog drama. It is non-stop. But it's not going to stop us from talking about what's happening in the Taylorverse. Um, Mallory, do you want
Summoned
to?
me.
Yes, I mean, did you hear that? Trilla-la, here I
I was
am.
gone for a second trying to get my dog to go outside, and you said something about Taylorverse, and I was like, I'm being
100%.
pulled.
You
I'm
are.
being pulled.
What do you have for us in news today, Mallory?
Funny enough. So, actually, what I'm looking at right now is could Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce go to the Met Gala together?
Oh,
And it says they could. That doesn't mean that they are. Just they could because he doesn't have to report to NFL training camp until July.
Yep.
And the Met Gala is May 6th, which is 3 days before Taylor returns to her tour in Paris. So,
That's like
oh,
that's really funny though. It's like, could they be there? The breaking news. Maybe they will
so
either be there or not.
it's like every single
I know.
tabloid
And every line,
topic ever.
every title still gets me. I'm always like, but
Yeah,
maybe this will be new information.
yeah. But they said
Anyway,
she could. They also
yeah.
said she couldn't, but maybe she could, they also said.
They put may and be with a space in between it, which seems more committal than maybe as one word.
Yes. Less may and more that it will be.
I
Look at us starting our own rumors.
know.
This here says, though, as a rule, Swift does not walk red carpets with her boyfriend. This is on Glamour, by the way, Glamour newsletter. Totally reputable. I don't even know. It's just like Glamour magazine, maybe.
Is that
Anyhow.
true of all of her exes?
Well, so I was just kind of doing a scan in my head and I thought, I don't think I've ever seen Taylor walk a red carpet with a boyfriend.
No. Because I think even the Grammys, or not the Grammys, a different award that she won around the time of 1989 that she like references he who we forgot that he existed sitting in the crowd and stuff like that.
Oh,
Um, but I don't recall them being like doing the red carpet together.
no. Yeah. So
Well, but even if they don't do the red carpet together, that's not to say that they don't get rowdy in the stands together.
that's
Like,
right. You know what? Taylor earned her own spot on her own red carpet. And I 100% love the fact that that's her space. And if
mm-hmm,
she wants to keep it her space,
mm-hmm.
go for it.
Here for it. Did you know that you have like tortured poets aesthetic in your house? Like your wall?
Yeah, I redecorated as soon as she made. No, just kidding. I'm kidding. She actually drew inspiration from my house. No.
I saw something today on Instagram that was like, so did you know that did you know, I don't know if this is a fact. I don't know, but allegedly according to the
It may
internet,
be. It might not be, but it
like
might.
gold turns into like rusty maroon color turns into sepia. So the invisible string was the rust that grew between telephones became tortured poets sepia.
I'm trying to stay on board. Are you making a Harry reference? No,
No,
that's
I
it.
was
Yeah.
making a Joe reference, but it could also be that.
Only because the way my mind goes is everybody likes to say that Joe is gold, right?
Yeah.
But some people like to argue that actually Harry was because Gold Rush.
Mm-hmm.
because of his song Golden, who people speculate it's about her.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what's the line? She's got a song about something in a gold cage.
Gold Cage, isn't that Midnight Rain? No,
No,
that's
but
not
there's
Gold
so many
Cage.
lyrics that they get jumbled up in this head of mine, and then I can't pull when I
Yeah.
need to. But
Yep.
anyway, and then Maroon is definitely, in my mind and in a lot of people's minds, a Harry song. The
Yep.
rest that were between telephones, he has a song that says, "Even my phone misses your call."
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so where I was going with that is, oh, are we, because I've always liked to string along the fact that even though maybe Joe and her did have something very real, and I will respect and appreciate that they had a 6 year long relationship, I always feel like Harry was always the wrong place, wrong time person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like that's why he makes an reoccurrence throughout her music.
Mm-hmm.
Which
Yeah,
is
I
so
think,
funny
yeah,
because I feel like,
I really think that as far as like relationship archetypes go, that yeah, the Harry's the once in 20 lifetimes.
yeah.
Like he's a,
Well, and just like how exciting would it be, even if it's not the case, if it were to be true, how
yeah,
amazing is it that two of the best lyricists, like biggest musicians of our time,
I
made a connection
know.
so deep that all this music came from it? Even
I
if they
know.
just like
Like,
respectfully nothing there anymore, they're
yep,
two human beings that have
yep,
maintained a friendship after everything. The
yep.
fact that it could have been so beautiful enough that it made all this beautiful music is just exciting to me.
I know. And I mean, if our queen ends up with a man whose legacy is squirrely, then like I
Mhm.
love that for her because she's having a ton of fun. And I love that she doesn't seem to be in pain and stuff.
Yeah.
And regardless of the inspiration for the song, we always hold the space to respect that her art is her art and the stories are stories. And on that note, we got some new, I consider it new content from
Yes.
Miss Taylor herself because it is her voice. Can we jump to that, or is there other news that we want to cover
There
still?
was one more thing I want to touch on
Let's
really
do one more
quickly.
news. Yes.
Um, Talking about yet another ex of our girl. And this I had to roll my eyes about because I saw this yesterday when I was scrolling through some stuff and I was like, oh man, the one that no one even remembers, the one that she couldn't even write a song about.
Yeah, yeah. Yep. Voldemort.
Yes, Voldemort. So apparently it's trending. If you type Taylor Swift and you go to news, the thing that pops up that is trending is Calvin Harris's wife listens to Taylor Swift when he's away. It's her bold confession that when Calvin is away, she gets her Taylor Swift fill. And I thought, how embarrassing and how pathetic that this man's wife would be too butthurt, excuse the term, but to even allow his wife to listen to one of his ex-girlfriend's music in front of him.
I know.
Like,
Hold on. Is my
what?
dog getting into something?
Oh,
Oh, one second. I'll be right back.
I'm just going to keep going off.
I'm going to unplug my headphones. Oh, no, that's Joe. It's Joe. My dog was here beside me.
Because it was
Well,
Joe.
around the table.
Oh,
It
it
was
was Joe was
he was
getting
opening
into stuff.
well, he was
Go
opening up a
check on Joe.
package with
We don't know what he's
chicken,
getting into.
like wrapping paper, butcher paper. And so I thought my
Oh,
dog got into the garbage or something. Anyway,
oh boy.
okay, sorry. So anyway, this
Um,
butthurt
X, who
ex.
like literally is just known as her ex who's been so disgruntled and
Yeah.
was so like immature about their breakup.
Yeah.
You're married.
Yep.
It's been 10 years.
Hmm.
Your ex is the hugest pop star in
Yep.
the world right now.
Yep.
Your wife has to listen to her in private? Jeez. Come on, what's your name? Get over it.
Oh, honey. That sounds
Anyway,
like a lot
we
of real
forgot,
estate taken up in your brain.
we forgot that he existed.
Yes. That's ridiculous. Um, okay.
Anyways, I had to say that because I could not believe how high school drama that is for a grown married man. But
100%.
and you know what? For all you know, she said it in humor. She said it lightheartedly.
Yeah.
But
But
at the
like,
same time, we know what he was like when they broke up. We know there are no songs about professed love to this man.
deleted tweets don't lie.
What's the deleted tweet? You
Wasn't
have
it
to.
like he was like throwing shade at like low key shade at Taylor after the whole Rihanna song credit stuff? And then
Yes.
when she started dating Tom Hiddleston, I think he made a comment about like, uh, hope you're happy in your new relationship. You don't have to parade. I don't know, something like it, just something to that effect. And then he ended up deleting it, I believe.
Well, and he also got into a little tiff with the boys in One Direction. Do you know
Oh,
this?
is that I
And he Zayn
yes.
ended up tweeting that he was a dickhead or a
Yes.
dick.
Can
And
I
then
ask
she
you a
sings in her
question?
song
Yep.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
She was just some dickhead guy that you saw
Mm-hmm.
that night.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder who that would be.
I know. Okay.
Moving on.
We're gonna
Anyway,
move on to today's content, which is the content that Taylor just released, which is specially curated Apple playlists that are loosely organized into the 5 stages of grief. And so, what we got with these playlists is a little intro explaining what each one's about, and then a curation from her most recent era. And would it be reverse chronological to her earliest?
yes,
Um,
so yeah.
I mean, only including songs that she owns. I don't know if you noticed that, not Reputation or
Yeah.
Debut.
Yeah.
Um, and so, yeah, what we wanted to do today was just kind of go through. I mean, we were going to say a couple of those playlists. I think we might make it through one, to be
I was
honest.
just gonna say, let's be real with ourselves. Let's be transparent. There's no way.
Yes.
We'd be
So we're going to try and
kind of
keep, I think we should try and keep the assessments like low key short, just like major things that jump out as we go through it.
I just kind of want to look at them and then both of us each say our initial thoughts, right? Like we don't have to go through each song that's on the list.
Perfect.
But like, for example, it starts off with I love you, it's ruining my life.
Yeah.
And this is the stage of denial, the first stage of grief. And what shocked me about this was I didn't understand why Bejeweled is in this list.
Okay, hold on. So you said we're starting with I love you, it's ruining my life, right? So
The first stage of grief, right? Denial.
yes. So I just want to read the actual
Yes,
like
good
voice
idea.
note from her, from Taylor, but listen to it yourself on Apple because her voice is honey. Okay, so welcome to Taylor's I Love You, It's Ruining My Life playlist. This is a list of songs about getting so caught up in the idea of something that you have a hard time seeing the red flags, possibly resulting in moments of denial and maybe a little bit of delusion. Results may vary.
Right. So with that, the song Bejeweled is on there. I feel like I would have put Bejeweled with acceptance or anger,
Yeah, that's an
right?
interesting one.
Like, where in the song Bejeweled are we getting any trace of affection?
Maybe it's just that maybe because it's at the end of the thing, of the playlist, it's marking the transition to the next chapter because it says, like, baby love, I think I've been a little too kind. Didn't notice you walking all over my peace of mind in shoes I gave you as a present. So it's like she's kind of like,
Maybe just acknowledging
uh,
that she was in that stage with that person.
yeah. And maybe that she thought that both things could happen, that she could be herself and be in the relationship. Like she's saying, I can still do this. Like,
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems more like a nail in the coffin type of song to me.
yeah.
Not a bargaining, not a
I actually think of it as like an anger song.
yeah.
Some like,
So that's where I was. I was like, okay, I would either put it in the anger category or the I'm done, I'm moving on. I've accepted this.
yeah, that's a strange one. That's a strange one. Um, so one of the things that jumped out to me on this playlist was Sweet Nothing. because
Mhm.
initially that was really heard. I mean, and a lot of these songs were initially heard as love songs, but
Yes.
what I noticed in Sweet Nothing early on was, it's like all that you ever wanted from me was nothing, right? And, like, at the time, you think like, "Oh, you didn't need all the glitz and the glamour and the whatever." However, in Midnight Rain, it's
Mhm.
like, I guess sometimes we all get just what we wanted. So it's like,
Wanted.
in the end, you got what you wanted. You wanted nothing, you got nothing.
Yes. Yep.
And, like, and it makes a lot of sense that that song is in denial because it's like, they say the end is coming, everyone's up to something, I find myself running back.
Your sweet nothings. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I get that one. Um, the other one that really made jaws drop was Lover. That was like people's
That
worlds
one
crumbled.
shook me.
They crumbled
That
when
one
they realized that that was she was, and I would almost say that a lot of these songs are a form of her acknowledging the gaslighting,
yes. Yep.
not just from the said partner, but from herself, right? Like when you're in denial, you're
100%.
basically gaslighting yourself from the situation.
Yeah, you're
Who
viewing
would have thought
things.
that when she wrote Lover, which was near the beginning of their relationship, like that album is what everybody went, oh, Taylor is in love again. She's found something stable and steady. And like,
I
now
know.
we're finding out that she wrote it at a time where she was trying to convince herself of what she was portraying to the world.
Yes.
What?
Yes, the rose-colored glasses, then all of a
Yes.
sudden, like, lines from the song, like, "Can I go where you go?" Like, "Can we always
Mhm.
be this close?" That doesn't sound sweet and romantic anymore, and it's like, the whole song is a wedding song, even, like, the bridge, like, "Ladies and gentlemen, can you please stand? With every guitar string scar on my
Yeah.
hand, I take this magnetic force of a man to be my," and then it's like, "Lover," which, like, Lover, even historically, like, sure, if you romanticize Lover, it's this, oh, it's this, like, yeah, romantic, erotic, sensual, whatever, lovey-dovey experience, but, like, it's really a relationship that doesn't have a real role or name.
Right. You're right.
Like,
There's no
it's very non-committal,
yeah.
and it's like she was trying to be like, "I don't need the label. It's fine. We're
Yeah.
dancing." Like, but she was desperately looking like because he never gave her an answer. It's
Yeah.
always, "Can
And
I
it
go where you go?" Like, and at every table, I'll save you a seat. You know who you don't have to save a seat for? Someone who's already sitting beside you,
oh, that
right?
hurt. Yeah.
Right?
Oh, Taylor.
And, like, think about tolerant and, like, you save your dirtiest jokes for me. Who was he giving his dirtiest jokes to? Who was he sharing those moments with? Because it
Yeah.
wasn't with her. I mean, I don't know that for sure. I don't mean to allege that he was unfaithful. I'm just saying that
These are the
it
way that these are interpretations,
yes, it
loosely
calls into
based
question
interpretations.
how
Yeah.
you interpret
Yeah.
the
It's funny, I
song.
saw on, again, in Google Topics, it came up, and it was like, Lover very quickly went from a wedding song to a red flag song overnight.
100%.
Every girl who is going to be questioning the relationship they're in after re-listening to all these Taylor Swift songs in these new playlists.
I know, recasting the, like,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh my goodness. Yep. Yeah, and again, some of them are, like, quite literal in terms or not literal because none of it's ever literal, but, like, Lavender Haze, it really creates that sense of, like, resistance of that makes a lot of sense as a denial song.
Yeah.
What did you think about Willow?
That one made me question it too. Because I was like, but Willow to me comes off as like, this is a solid, like, you were our love, your love for me was strong enough to break me down
Mhm.
and for like me to decide we'll do this together. Like you can break down my walls, all the plans I had for myself, to, keep myself safe and comfortable. You came in and, you know, what
Mhm.
are your thoughts on that?
Like, I think that, I'm like the water when your ship rolled in that night, rough on the surface, but you cut through like a knife. That makes me think of like the knife from Cruel Summer. Like all of a sudden it starts to feel like this double-edged,
Yeah.
like something. Um, the more
Well,
that,
it
and
made me
because
think
so
about.
when to your note about the gaslighting, sorry, but
Oh
to your
yeah,
note
that.
about that, like this is what always hit me about um being out of joint as Willow being like a love song is like the more that you say, the less I know. Wherever you stray, I'll follow. I'm begging for you. I'm begging for you to take
Yeah.
my hand,
Yeah.
wreck my plans. Like that's my
Mm-hmm.
man. Like so it's really this again, this not I mean pathetic is the word that came up. I don't mean to say that she's pathetic or any woman or person who's
No,
pining is
no, and
pathetic,
I
but
don't.
like
Yeah.
but yeah, it like in the same
Desperate.
yeah,
And I'm
desperate.
not desperate in a
Yes.
bad, needy, pathetic way, but desperate in you're clinging to something that makes you feel good, even if you're everything's telling you that this isn't good for you, it's making you
Yeah.
feel good.
Well,
And you want that.
and feeling so helpless but caught up in it, but like
Yeah.
anyway, so I just could
And
sit
when you
with
said
these
about cut through
forever.
knife like a knife too,
Yeah.
I always find lyrical parallels, and I don't even know if they make sense, but it makes me go, oh, I wonder if. And
Yeah.
it's her song, Say Don't Go. Um, I can never think of when we're doing these podcasts, the lyrics
Yeah.
never come to me.
I know. I
It's
know.
a mental blockage having that record button pressed. All of a
Well,
sudden,
and
like,
I think it's also an element that like your brain or my brain, our brains, will kind of like have multiple things playing at once so you can hear the things together. But as soon as you try to like pick it out and articulate it, then the other thing kind of disappears. So then all of a sudden the connection doesn't make as much sense
yes,
anymore. And then you're
yes.
trying to search for it, but you can't find where you were. And anyway, that's how I feel.
Exactly. Anyways, Say Don't Go. Why'd you have to leave me on? Why'd you have to twist the knife, walk away,
Yeah.
and leave me bleeding, right?
Yeah. Why'd you whisper in the dark just to leave me
Love
in the
for
night?
her has a
Yeah.
lot. She's been, stabbed in the back a lot. She's been hurt. She's been
Yeah.
wounded, this
Well,
girl.
even because oh, just kidding. I was gonna say even the Archer, but the Archer's not on this playlist. So
But it is
just
on another one. We will get to
it is
that
on
eventually.
another one. Yes, we will get to it. But
Um,
yeah, I think like when I listen to this playlist in general, it just has me really looking for things that seemed romantic now. Again, to your point, like Rita's red flags.
yes.
Like,
Um, okay. So I'm gonna throw another one at you.
yeah.
Betty. Now there's two ways to look at this. Are we looking at Betty from Betty's point of view or from James? Betty's point of view, it would be that you're listening to a song from the person who is doing the gaslighting, who is the red flag,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Or are we supposed to look at it from James's point of view? The
That's
whole summer fling with Augustine and
interesting
no?
because my initial read on it was from the perspective of Betty looking at it and being like yeah, you were young and stupid and like you did mess it up and like it didn't work out in the end kind of like in the
Mhm.
folklore Long Pond studio sessions then she says that in her mind James and Betty end up together that
I
like he
know.
realized he made a mistake and they end up together and I think that this is a way of saying actually maybe they didn't.
Hmm. Interesting enough, it's also the only song from folklore that's in this list.
That's wild.
Yeah. But it seems as though folklore
Is
might have
there
been
no
the time.
Evermore? Oh, there's Willow, right? Sorry.
And yeah, and that's the only song from Willow. So is this telling us that when she did Folklore and she did Evermore, she was already beyond the stage of even trying to convince herself that she was in love at that
That's
time?
my theory.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
really my theory, is that it was like, I think that after, and again, completely made up in my head, um, after the Reputation World Tour, when she was like, her star was rising again, I think that that probably brought up a lot of conflict where their like values
mhm,
didn't align and their visions didn't align. But at that point, like she was so like, this had to work because now she was in love and she was healing the narrative that Taylor Swift couldn't keep a man.
mhm,
And so I think that probably a lot of fractures got brought to the surface then, and then pandemic hit, and they ended up being sequestered, facing things, thinking maybe there's an avenue forward with this. Folklore, Evermore were huge. It was like, no, there's actually probably not. And
mhm.
then, yeah, and
Yeah.
then I think the writing was on the wall, and they probably broke up long before it was
Oh,
announced.
oh yeah, absolutely.
So,
And there's also so much speculation too. And I mean, this is a whole other podcast, but episode, but there's so much speculation about infidelity on his end and with
mm-hmm,
his co-stars and stuff. So
mm-hmm,
it's almost starting to seem like maybe he was tapped out and didn't even bother fighting for it.
mm-hmm.
And then there's a lot of resentment, which would honestly sounds to me just like the Folklore, the Evermore
Yeah.
Midnights
Did I
sound.
push you to the edge and you were too polite to leave me? Do you miss
Yeah,
the rogue who coaxed you into paradise, then left you there?
yeah.
Like,
Although I think that that song encompasses a bunch of different history.
I think it does as well, but those two lines, and I know that we have like disagreements, particularly around the rogue who coaxed you into paradise.
Mm.
Um, but
Well, I think that's the fun thing about being a Swiftie is that you
yes,
can interpret things
yes.
in different ways.
And it's like, and this is one of the things that I think that the end of this relationship, even though I don't know that it had the same romantic intensity or fire that, we ascribe to Harry and Taylor, I think that it's going to sit with her with a similar sense of like betrayal or grief that like the Scott Borchetta stuff did, in terms of like Joe was her family. He was
Yes.
her person. And regardless of how available he was to her, she trusted him more than she had probably trusted anybody outside of her family in a really long time. And that's part of where, like with Coney Island, it's like, if I can't relate to you, who am I related to?
Yeah.
You know?
And I think that's why, like, we've had the conversation before about how we think that that song is about multiple
Yes.
different scenarios
Yeah.
encompassed in a song. And I know I've gone off and being like, there's so much Harry in this song. And I
Oh,
think there is, but I do think that she's taking feelings from all sorts of different relationships and different scenarios and putting them in that song.
yeah.
And to your point where like Joe was her family, I
Mm-hmm.
think Joe was the very first guy that was ever safe for her. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that when she fell for him, it was the first time she didn't have to feel like someone was gonna drop her when she was so
Yeah.
vulnerable.
Yeah.
Because every other guy she was with, like Jake Gyllenhaal,
Yeah.
wrecked her. Joe
Yep.
Jonas wrecked her. Harry
Yep.
Styles wrecked her. Like every
Yep.
time she has fallen head over heels, she finally found a guy that she felt you're not like them.
Yes. Well, and that's where I
And
think, yeah,
she felt
the
safe.
yeah, the sense of
Yeah.
betrayal is
Yes.
is really visceral there.
Exactly.
Um,
Anyways, back to this playlist because Coney Island is
oh,
another playlist, and now I'm
so
curious, what was that one in?
okay, but before we, I mean,
Depression.
we're not going to be moving on to that in this episode anyway, but
Yeah.
the thing that's tickling my brain right now is like on the note
Mhm.
of my theory of like the relationship falling apart and like that timeline. Because her big angle with Folklore and Evermore was that it was a departure from autobiographical writing.
Mm.
Even though I mean she had done that in the past many times before, but I imagine that the conversation behind the scenes is like she has this album and Joe's like, I don't want our private life aired and everyone's gonna know. She's like, no, they're not gonna, nobody's gonna know. How are they gonna know? I'll never admit it.
TikTok trend.
Yeah, I know.
How would they know?
Nobody's gonna know.
Nobody's gonna know.
Like,
How
yeah,
would they
so
know?
it's like we can spin it with this angle and we'll
Yeah.
reaffirm it through these things, and then you can get writing credits and it will actually bolster you and then like play done on that. And that's not what happened. Like, I mean, even the Long Pond studio sessions, Jack Antonoff's like, well, William Bowery, it's Joe. Who? It is? What? Like,
Yeah.
we have to do a whole deep dive on Jack Antonoff throwing shade.
Yes.
That's separate. Okay, anyway, but
We always come up with so much future episode content during our episodes, and then the week comes and we're like, what are we going to talk about today?
I know, well, because I never actually listened back to the episodes before I published them. I just spot check them for sound. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, there's sound in all the different spots, and then up it goes. Okay. Anyway, that's my theory about how those conversations happen. And then Midnights, she allowed herself to return back to autobiographical writing again.
Yes.
And now again, so curious to see what we're going to see with what's going to come with Tortured Poets.
And the
So,
only thing from Midnights that's on this one is Bejeweled.
and Bejeweled, Lavender Haze, Snow on the Beach, Sweet Nothing, and Glitch.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. These lists aren't.
No,
it's
so
weird.
it's
because,
funny. Yes.
Like
Yeah.
all the lover songs are together.
Yep.
The 1989 songs are together, which we didn't even talk about.
I
Come
know.
on.
Okay, so
Red. How would you only have one Red song on this playlist? What about State of Grace? Loving Him was Red. That should be on this list.
I know.
Taylor,
But
I have words.
no, but again, I think that the eras that get the most attention in here tell us a lot about
She's got a specific narrative that
the inspirations.
Know about.
Yes. Yes, across them. But yeah, the order of it's funny because at the beginning of just even this episode, I was like, oh yeah, it starts with like the most recent album and trickles back. And then you're like, Bejeweled is on here. I'm like, no, it's not. I'm like, it's at the bottom. I'm like, oh, I was completely wrong. That is not the order that the songs are in. But some of them are grouped. Like they're grouped by era, but not chronologically. So anyway, yeah, I'm obsessed with this whole concept of these playlists.
Yeah. I'm obsessed with us diving into them.
I know. I know.
have so many thoughts.
I know. Okay.
I have so many thoughts. I just want to think them and say them. There's too many though.
I know.
A Glitch was an interesting one. If we can just touch real quickly on that.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Glitch?
Because I was driving to work today and I was listening to this one because I was trying to listen to them in the order of grief. And I thought, okay, but like, I am actually convinced that Glitch is about Maddie Healy. And this is me formulating my own narrative about what happened in my head. Like none of this can actually be proven. But I'm wondering if she did meet him at some point when her relationship was going off the rails, because they were in England, like in London, right? But anyways, I'm wondering if maybe it's just an imagining she had. But it just, to me, Maddie Healy feels like what's the word I'm looking for? Like a hookup relationship.
Like a rebound or whatever.
Not even just a rebound, but just something fun to pick me up. You know, like the song Glitch to me does not sound like it's about anybody who's actually really meant anything serious to her.
Yep. Well, because even like the comments about it's been 2,190 days of our love blackout. Our love is blacking out.
Yes.
In the background, the system's breaking down. I think there's been a glitch, and then right after, I'm fastening myself to you. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Like,
and it's like, okay, I also have theories about Maddie Healy having veins in Bejeweled, because the line that says,
And if I
when
meet the band, they asked, "Do you have a
do you have a
man?"
man?
I
I'll
can
say, I
still
don't
say I don't
remember.
remember.
So
Yeah,
when they had
but
their
maybe that's a
alleged,
glitch.
when they had their alleged tryst,
Yes.
then I think that the 1975 put out a T-shirt on their site that said the band.
Oh.
I might be making up another rumor with my.
But even still, like what could have happened? Who know? And again, this is us playing fantasy in our head about what could have happened. Who knows? Maybe her and Joe were on the outs and she went out one night and the 1975 was playing and they meet up and then all of a sudden there's high infidelity. and
Yeah.
and it's I was supposed to sweat you out. So like this was just to be something to get my mind off the
Okay.
shitty breaking down I have.
Also,
Like,
like, can we talk a little bit about Snow on the Beach?
yes. Yeah.
Because so one of the things I'm thinking about is just like all of the overlapping like drug references that start to emerge in the different songs.
I'm still
But
listening.
no, that's okay. I'm just like I'm scrolling through the lyrics here because it's like this song has always been kind of interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so give me your thoughts.
I Snow on the beach. That's where we are. I got distracted. Oh, I should know better than to look on my phone while you're talking. And
That's
you
okay.
want to know what distracted me? This is the pure mind of ADHD. Okay.
That's fine.
The Great War somehow popped up on my screen. I'm on
Mm.
my Apple Music list, and I must have
Mm-hmm.
touched it. And for some reason, the Great War. And I was looking at the album cover and how the flame is flickering in front of her face for midnights. And then my mind went to, oh, she's like looking at that, like she's ready to burn down the lover house. And I love how now it's all making sense. And that's when I totally trailed off and forgot that you asked me about Snow on the Beach. And I'm sorry,
That's
but
okay.
that's a snippet into what my brain is like all the time.
That's okay.
Okay. Snow on the beach.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, and I've said this before, I'm not obsessed with Haylor, but I am low-key obsessed with Haylor. And only because I feel like
I think
I,
you're mid to high key obsessed, and that's
I'm
fine. I love
because
it. I'm here for
because
it.
I'm a die-hard
Yep.
like
Yep.
I grew up in the early 2000s when we had movies like She's All That and 10 Things I Hate About You and Never Been Kissed and all those story
Oh,
tropes.
we used to rent them on VHS for
Yes,
sleepovers.
and I feel like the Haler trope aligns with what could have been a really great chick flick story trope in the mid to
It's
in
true.
so anyways, that's where my 13-year-old, my inner
Yep.
13 was like, I love this love story because it reminds me so much of like She's All That and Never Been Kissed and
Mm-hmm.
okay, anyways. I think that it might be a Hailor song because I think with the whole plane was going back down, how'd you turn it back around? When she was leaving on vacation, she left him on that island and then it's not publicly acknowledged, but I think they had a little reunion and like got back together. And I feel
Mm.
like that fits this playlist because she was gaslighting herself to believe, okay, maybe
Mm-hmm.
it can work. When in
Mm-hmm.
reality,
But that's the flight was awful. Thanks for asking. The plane going down, that's Labyrinth, right?
that's Labyrinth. Sorry, that's I connect Labyrinth and I connect Snow on the Beach and I
So
connect Are We Over Now? Or is it over now?
when I was listening to Labyrinth the other day, I was like walking and the intro, like it's kind of a slow build, and
Yeah.
all I could hear was Wildest Dreams. Like
Oh,
that like instrumentation like layered in with it. The
yes.
like
And the heartbeat and yes. Well, because
mm-hmm.
at the end, and this is
Oh
my
yeah.
viral TikTok was about how at the end of Labyrinth, you hear her say, "Is it over now?" And it
Mm.
goes da 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 da. She's saying, "Is it over now?" And that is referencing the Vault track on 1989, which
Mm-hmm.
links them together. So then
Mm-hmm.
that's where I linked Snow on the Beach and Labyrinth, because my flight was awful. Thanks for asking. And
Mm-hmm.
then Labyrinth, I thought the plane was going down. How'd you turn it back around? With Still on the
Right.
Beach, it's a whole concept of thinking of the thought of you wanting me seems impossible.
Mm-hmm.
Like to me, Snow on the
Mm-hmm.
Beach gives the feeling of I didn't think this was gonna work out, and now all of a sudden things are,
Yeah,
like
it seems like magical, like a once in a lifetime
exactly.
opportunity, like an
Yeah.
eclipse.
We
Sorry,
talk-
we don't have time to go down that tangent. We
we
don't. We have
don't.
to, no, we have to wrap up our last thoughts because I have to not be late for dinner tonight. Um,
Yes,
so
family.
we're gonna have to give our closing remarks on I love you. It's ruining my life before my obsession with Taylor Swift ruins my life.
I love this podcast, and our families are ruining our lives by taking.
Yes. I am here for that reframe. Okay. If you had to pick like your top, let's say 5 favorite songs on this playlist, which
Okay.
ones would you go with?
Oh well, style, 100%,
Yeah.
number one. Um, I love False God, and I love it on like out of the ones on this list. I love
Yep.
it. I feel like it nails down that denial narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Even if
That is
this
a
is
sexy song. Can we also just
even if
call
this
it what it
isn't
is?
real, we still worship it. Like, right?
Right? Like religions in your lips, the altar is my
Yeah. Yep.
hips.
Come on,
We
Taylor.
worship this love even if it's a false god.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Okay. So you
Uh,
have style, false god.
Miss Americana on the Heartbreak
I'm
Prince.
with you. Yep.
Um, I love Betty.
Mm-hmm.
And then what am I? I need one more.
I think so, yeah.
Treacherous. Treacherous. I've always loved the song Treacherous. Since Red came out, it was one of my top Red songs.
I love Treacherous as well. I would
I'll
probably
do anything you say if you say it with your
with your hands.
oh, Taylor. Come on, Miss Thing.
I
Miss
like I used to go with it, but your friction. Mm. Okay. Um,
Raina
I
said.
would have to say Miss Americana and the Heartbreak Prince, which like especially after the Eras tour, like
Oh,
it's been a long
the
every
long
time I'm
time
just like
coming back.
Melody.
Why are we crying so hard together?
I know. I cannot. Like I still goosebumps. I literally have goosebumps right
I
now.
can't wait to
Just from
cry
that.
too.
Like I have a lifetime store of joy from that. Um okay, so Miss Americana and the Heartbreak Prince. Um, I also obsessed with False God. I have to also do Treacherous because again, it's just too good.
I was so
Um,
besties.
and then I love Willow,
Yeah.
actually. Um, and then I think I would probably be I'm trying to think of like the one that I would be least likely to skip if push came to shove. And I actually think it would be Lavender Haze.
Yeah.
Like when I'm out
That's
singing
where
and
my
stuff
mind
like
is.
that. Because
Yeah.
it's like as like a driving song, like
And she's got a very sexy mindset in that song. Yeah.
oh
Butchered that, but anyways.
I mean I butcher everything that I try to recreate from her discography. No one wants Justine's version. Jeez.
Yeah.
Um
And
yeah,
you're doing it in a crowd anyways, so
all in all, Taylor Swift, this 19 song playlist clocks in at an hour and 7 minutes. And I love you. It's ruining my life. I can't think of anything other than what you're going to put out next, woman. And I can't wait until Tortured Poets. So that's that. I think that we should try and get through the rest of these playlists before the album comes out.
okay. If we can do it, we might need to pump a few extra calls in.
I think so. Oh gosh, I feel so bad for us. What a rough life.
I can't believe that in 10 days from now we're going to be talking about all new songs. And I didn't even tell you the best news, Justine.
What?
Remember we talked about doing like a live,
Yeah.
Harlow has a dance competition that weekend. So I don't have to work on the Friday. So we potentially can do a live reaction together.
I'm so excited. Like
I almost went
that
cross-eyed.
that week is such a write-off for me. I have to get all my work done in advance because the new season of The Circle comes out on April 17. And then because I'm like Pacific Coast, whatever, like Tortured Poets is officially released April 19, but I get it at 9 p.m. on April 18.
Oh yeah, it'll be midnight for me.
Yeah. But anyway.
For me. But I mean, like, so we're probably gonna be at a hotel that night.
Yep.
I can probably go down to the lobby when my family's asleep and call you.
We'll figure it out. We'll make it happen.
Listen.
We'll make it happen. Okay. Well, we will wrap up there. That's it for I Love You, It's Ruining My Life. Next time we will be back with Am I Allowed to Cry, which is about bargaining. So we had decided to do this approach to the episode like 4 minutes before we hopped on. So there was like no preparation. I'm actually going to try and listen to the next playlist in advance so that I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I listened to it this morning on my way into work, and that's actually where the idea came to me. And then I did not even prepare you for it until like 4 minutes before we recorded. I was like, hey, I think we should do this.
That's okay. I didn't even prepare you that we were recording last week. I literally just hit record while you were away from the computer and let you join when you got back. So that's fair. That's fair. Okay. Well, thank you so much to all of you, one or two people maybe who made it to the end of the episode. We love you so much. And we will see you for our next episode.
All
Great.
right.
Bye.
Bye.